Conservative new media viewers and Jeremy Lin fans around the world, what's up? It's me again, PFE, Paul F. Villarreal, the NBA expert. We are here to talk again about the Houston Rockets' second preseason game that took place in Manila, the Philippines today on Thursday, October 10th, 2013. I made a video earlier about this, so if you want to check that out, you can. I will put information about that in the video description below the video player so you can check it out. The reason I am making a second video is because when I made the first video right after the game, there was some incomplete information in the box scores for the game, and I wanted to check a couple things out before I talked about the game a little bit more. Basically regarding Jeremy's stats and what happened in the game, just so I could make sure that what I thought happened, and so I went and I checked that out. What we're going to do in this video, if you're not familiar with these videos, I'm going to give a summary of the game, then I'm going to give a summary of how Jeremy did, then I'll just kind of go over that again, just kind of give a grand summary of the video, and then I'll address other issues like comments or other things like talking about Twitter or various things or commenters, this type of a thing. So that's what this video is going to be. And I will also do a little bit of quarter by quarter of what happened in this game in terms of Jeremy's performance. So if you want to skip ahead in the video, you can please feel free to do that. Okay. The final score of this game was 116-96. Houston with the victory. They are now 1-1 in this preseason, and it was a resounding victory. And Indiana's a terrific team. I mean, Indiana was in the Eastern Conference Finals last year, and they are highly regarded and felt to be a very serious threat to get back to the finals and contend for the championship this year. So this was a very good team that Houston was playing. Now, the huge news in this game for Jeremy Lin fans was that Patrick Beverley was the starter. And it was said before the game, and it was also said by Kevin McHale after the game, Kevin McHale, the head coach of the Houston Rockets, that he is going to alternate Patrick Beverley and Jeremy as the starters during this preseason. The main reason that's being done, you would imagine, is to figure out who's going to be the starter. And it's also being done, Coach McHale said, to try to figure out who plays best with the bench. When you have a serious contending team, as Houston now is, you need to have a productive bench. You need to have a sixth man. You need to have scorers off of the bench. You need this type of thing. Basically like what James Harden did when he was with the Oklahoma City Thunder and they went to the finals. James Harden came off the bench because they needed scoring from the second unit. There's been some discussion about this regarding Jeremy, and it looks like the team wants to experiment with that. And that's going to happen. I mean, that's something they can do. I'm not worried about it. I have felt this was a possibility, and they're looking at it, and that's okay. And I'll talk more about that as the video progresses here. Look, the team played well. The starters came out strong. Then things faded a little bit. The difference between this game and the last game was that the bench played much better in this game. And I think Jeremy had a big part of that. They did not play well in the last game. The bench did not. That's why Houston ended up losing the game. In this game, the bench came on strong at the end of the game, and that's why it became a complete rout. Dwight Howard did not have a good game today. He had a very good game in the first game. He didn't play well in this game. This was more, I think Coach McHale said after the game, Dwight Howard was a little stiff. His back might have been a little stiff, and that might have been bothering him just because he sat most of the second quarter. This was more of a game where James Harden dominated the action a bit more when he was on the court with Dwight Howard. And Dwight Howard just had some misses as well, and that happens. Both Jeremy and Patrick Beverley played well in this game. They both played well, and that's really good. As we talked about coming into this year, there was some question about the Houston point guard position. Well, it's looking like that position's in pretty good shape right now, based on the two first preseason games. Omri Caspi again played well for Houston in a preseason game. He was huge in this game, just like he was in the first game. He had 17 points and 10 rebounds. Another person that played well in this game was Donatas Motiejunas. He struggled a bit in the first game. He struggled some of this game, but he ended up with 16 points at the end of the game. Chandler Parsons had 15 points. James Harden ended up with 21 points. And Dwight Howard ended up with just 9 points in 24 minutes. Okay, let's turn to Jeremy. Again, Jeremy came off of the bench in this game. He finished up with 14 points, 6 rebounds, 5 assists in 23 minutes of playing time. Shot 3 of 6 from the field, 0 of 0 from three-point range, 8 of 8 from the free throw line, no steals, no block shots, 3 turnovers, 5 personal fouls. His plus-minus was a +1, and his efficiency number was 19. Now, efficiency just means all of the positive statistics subtracted by all of the negative statistics. A 19 efficiency is excellent, particularly a 19 efficiency in 23 minutes. The higher the efficiency number, the better you did. And if you can basically have an efficiency number that's almost corresponds 1-to-1 with how many minutes you played, in other words, 19 efficiency in 23 minutes, that's really good. That's really good. So Jeremy played an excellent game. Patrick Beverley finished with 12 points, 5 rebounds, and 4 assists in 26 minutes. Patrick shot 4 of 5 from the field, 2 of 2 from three-point range, 2 of 2 from the free throw line. He had 1 steal, no block shots, 1 turnover, 3 personal fouls. His plus-minus was a +18, and his efficiency number was 20, which, again, is terrific, particularly since he only played 26 minutes. Going over this, looking at the efficiency numbers of all of the Rockets, Patrick and Jeremy were 3rd and 4th on the team in efficiency, behind only James Harden and Omri Caspi. That's fantastic. You have 2 guys that play the same position in the top 4 on the team in efficiency. That's just great. And I've mentioned to you guys several times during the summer and early in the fall here, what we're seeing in this situation are 2 guards in Jeremy and Patrick that both play well. And I've mentioned before the 1996-1997 Phoenix Suns. And I said on that team you had Jason Kidd, Sam Cassell, Steve Nash, and Kevin Johnson, all 4 of whom are fantastic point guards. So sometimes this happens. Sometimes you get a situation or you get a team where you have a surplus of talent at a particular position. And that's what seems to be happening here. And that's a good thing. That's not a bad thing. There are a lot of people that are understandably upset because they want Jeremy to start. And it's kind of like, well, why is everybody pushing Patrick Beverley so hard? Well, Patrick's good, and he's playing well, and he's playing better than people thought he was going to play. And you have to give him credit for that. We don't need to attack Patrick Beverley to prop Jeremy up. Jeremy's doing great, but so is Patrick Beverley. And so you try to figure out, well, okay, who's going to start? How many minutes are guys going to get? How do you get guys on the court at the same time? Part of the reason why they want to play small ball, which means using more smaller players rather than larger players, is because both Jeremy and Patrick are good. And so the more you can get those guys on the court, the better your team's going to be. This is what they're experimenting with, and they experimented with it in this game too. So the bottom line is this. This is what I keep telling you guys again and again. If Jeremy keeps playing the way that he's playing, he's going to be fine. Now, hopefully he'll be fine in Houston, and hopefully he'll be the starter. But trust me, if he plays like this, he's going to be a starter in the league somewhere. And I want him to be in Houston, but pardon me, he's going to be fine. He's getting better and better. And as long as he continues to improve his game, he's going to get plenty of playing time as a starter or as a guy in a sixth man in this league. So I'm not worried about him. Jeremy's already been through the worst in his career. Nobody thought he was anything. They didn't think he was going to make the NBA. They didn't think he was that good. Well, he's over that now. Yeah, there's still people that he's nothing and all this. I was talking to some people on Twitter about this yesterday, and as you can see there on the screen, we made a new Twitter account for these videos. So you can go check that out, and you'll see that in the video description. There's still a lot of people that believe Jeremy's not that good. Well, anybody that's watching the NBA and that watches Jeremy is paying attention, they don't think that. That's just silly. I mean, he's showing what he can do. So he's going to be fine, regardless of what happens with Patrick and regardless of what happens with Houston, so long as he can remain healthy and continues to work on his game. I'm not, as I've told you guys before, I can't freak out because Jeremy's playing well. And I can't freak out because Patrick's playing well. Good for Patrick. If Jeremy plays well, he's going to be fine. And that's the bottom line. So all he needs to do is handle his own business, and that's what he's doing. He's doing his own thing. He's not stressing out. Great. He's cool, and he's going to be cool. And that's where things are right now. Now, Brent Yen made a comment in the first video I made on this game, and he's absolutely right. He said, Jeremy has shown that he's able to do well with the starters and with the bench. That's correct. Whereas when Patrick was playing with the bench in the first preseason game, the bench didn't do that great, even though Patrick did well. But the bench as a unit didn't do that well. And what's unfortunate, if you're a Jeremy Lin fan, is that in some ways that kind of hurts Jeremy, or it kind of pushes Jeremy towards the sixth man role. And the people that have made the argument sincerely, and there are plenty of people who have made the argument insincerely about Jeremy coming off the bench, but the ones that have said that about Jeremy being the sixth man and being off the bench, this is what they're talking about. He can score well, which the bench needs, and he can lead the bench. So that's kind of what you saw in this game. in some ways, if Patrick isn't quite as good of a passer or a playmaker as Jeremy is, well, if you put him out with the starters and you have James Harden out there to handle the ball, well, Patrick doesn't have to be as good. Whereas Jeremy might be better at those things than Patrick is, and that might work better as a sixth man because the whole bench gets to take advantage of those things. Well, I understand that. That's a real argument, even if it's also an argument that haters will hide behind just because they want Jeremy to not start, because that's their agenda. So it's both of those things. There are people that will use that because they don't want Jeremy to do well. But it's a real argument from a basketball perspective. You do need that. You do need your bench to be productive and to have scoring from the bench. That's why James Harden came off the bench in Oklahoma City. And everybody knew how good Harden was, even though he was coming off the bench. So it could happen. And it might make sense. Personally, I hope it doesn't happen, but I understand it. Houston is a serious contender now. They really are. They're that talented. If you're in that situation, you've got to look at every option. You have to see what's best for your team, even if that means a popular player doesn't start. And Jeremy understands that. Believe me, he understands that. Now, that doesn't mean he doesn't want to start, but he gets it. And again, he's calm about things this year as compared with last year, and that's good. He should be calm. He's earned his place in this league. He's earned his money. He's earned his respect from most people. Not everybody, but there's some people that don't understand, but that doesn't matter. He's in a good spot, and it's going to get better. And I'm proud of him. He's handling this well. There are a lot of guys in his situation that would be angry and bitter, and they might say a couple things to that effect, but he's not doing that. For everything that we've heard, he and Patrick get along great, and that's good. That doesn't mean you don't compete and you don't want to be number one, you don't want to start, but you have respect, and that's your teammate. You don't get all mad at them and get all bitter. That's silly. That's loser stuff. So I'm proud of how Jeremy and Patrick are handling this competition. This is a good example for people to observe. And Jeremy he's really handled all of his career with class. Look, this guy was Linsanity less than 2 years ago. Now you're talking about maybe putting him on the bench. A lot of guys would not be able to deal with that. They wouldn't deal with it. But he's handling it with class and with maturity and emotional intelligence. And that's a really good example for people to look at. When you look at people and you want to learn from them and you look at them as a role model, you don't just look at them handling success. You look at them handling difficulties. And when you see Jeremy and you see the way that he's handling this situation, you see the way that he handled last year, and he's able to process it and talk about it in testimonies, that's a role model, in my opinion. So he's just as much of an example now, in a good way, as he was during Linsanity 1.0. And I think that's really important for people to point out. It's not just how you handle winning, it's how you handle losing, how you handle setbacks. And Jeremy has handled these things well. And so I give him a lot of credit for that. Okay, as I said, Jeremy was able to get the bench to perform well. And that's important. They need to perform well. If this team is going to do what people think they're capable of doing, the bench must perform well. Now, to be fair, there's a couple guys on the bench that are hurt right now, like Omar Ashik in particular. So some of these guys aren't playing. So you're not seeing the full bench. The bench should be better when those guys return. Ashik, Francisco Garcia, Greg Smith. So this isn't the true bench, but you still want your bench to be better than it was in game one. And it was considerably better in this game than it was in game one. And again, I credit Jeremy with a lot of that. And like I said, that might mean that they kind of push him towards the bench because they need that. They need a guy to lead the bench. And it's possible that could be Jeremy. We'll see. Again, I don't want that to happen, but it's a possibility that it could happen. And because he did well with the bench, it might even be more of a possibility. And that's reality. But look, that's good. That's another notch on Jeremy's belt. He can do well in any role. That's good. Great. Now, through the first two games that we've seen in this preseason so far, the competition between Patrick and Jeremy is very, very close. If you look at the net plus minus in the two games, what I mean by that is what the difference was in plus minus, or what the cumulative plus minus was. Jeremy has a slight advantage. Patrick was plus 18, I think, in this game, but he was minus 8 in the other game. Jeremy was plus 1 in this game, and he was plus 16 in the other game. So the difference between them, Jeremy has a slight advantage in that department. However, in total efficiency, Patrick has a slight advantage. But Patrick has played more minutes than Jeremy in the first two games. The way things typically go, the more minutes you play, the higher your efficiency number. So in other words, if Jeremy had played a few more minutes, his efficiency might be around where Patrick's is. But it's a very close competition. Nobody's blowing the other one out here. What you're talking about and what you're seeing here is two players playing well. And that's good. That's going to help the team, and it's going to help them both. And as I said, competition works. You're seeing players that are competing. They both want to be the starter. And they're playing like that. And they're pushing each other. And that's making each of them play well. And you're seeing that. And like I said, we came into this season, what's going to happen to point guard? Now it's like, wow. They've got two really good point guards. That's right, they do. And that is going to help the team, and it will help the players individually as well. As I said earlier, today was more Harden ball rather than Dwight ball. And that's not going to be the case many nights. It's going to be the case some nights, but it's not going to be the case a whole bunch of nights. Dwight will get more touches. Dwight will get more shots. Look, he got a fair amount of shots in this game. He got 11 shots. James Harden only took 12. So it wasn't like it was all Harden, but Dwight just didn't play that well in this game. But there's going to be nights he's going to play a lot better than he played tonight. And that will change the dynamic of the offense. James Harden had the ball more in this game. He was initiating the offense more, much more than he did in the first game, particularly when Jeremy was on the court. That's not always going to be the case. That will not always be the case, I don't believe. So look for that. The team is trying to figure out what offense works best, what's the right mixture between perimeter offense and running the offense through the low post where Dwight is. How much should James Harden have the ball in his hand? All of this. And they're just trying to work that out. As I said, the competition with Jeremy and Patrick is a good thing. It will help both of them, and it will help Jeremy in the long run. We've talked about it before. Jeremy coming to Houston. Jeremy going through the injury difficulties last year. Now Jeremy being pushed for his starting spot. None of those things is good, or it doesn't feel good in the short term. But in the long term, that's all going to help Jeremy a lot. It will make him mentally stronger. It will make him a better player. It will make him work harder. And it will pay dividends in the future of his career. I've told you, I said in the last video, Steve Nash getting punked out. Mark Cuban giving up on him like 7-8 years into his career. So if it can happen to Steve Nash, it can happen to Jeremy. John Stockton, all-time assist leader and steals leader in the history of the NBA, point guard. He didn't start his first 3 years. Jeremy's going to be fine. He just needs to continue on the trajectory that he's on right now, and he will be fine. I am perfectly certain of that. So that's why I said I'm not getting all shaken up. Who's it? Jeremy doesn't start. Look, I don't like it, but it's okay. We're looking at this, as I always say, we're looking at Jeremy's career as a marathon, not a sprint. It's not about what happens in a short period of time. It's about the long-term thing. Long-term, he's doing great. And that's where the focus is, and he knows that. And so things are going to go just fine. As I said, Patrick did get a little bit more playing time in this game than Jeremy did, and he got more playing time in the first game. So you can't completely match up their statistics because that's the case. Patrick's had a little bit of an advantage in playing time, which means his numbers should be a little bit better. And as I said, it's similar. It's similar. The numbers are similar, but that is something to consider. Jeremy and Patrick played well together in this game. They were on the court at the same time, I believe, in the fourth quarter, maybe early in the fourth quarter. And it worked well. The Rockets used that scheme late last year, and we call that small ball because they're using Jeremy and Patrick and a lot of times James Harden on the court at the same time. Well, those are three guards, meaning that James Harden is playing small forward rather than a small forward playing small forward. So it's a smaller lineup, but it works well. And we saw some of that today, and I don't know the exact plus minus when that group was on the court, but I do know that Jeremy and Patrick played well together. You saw the one play. I'll talk about that in a bit. They worked well together, and they do work well together in general, and that's a good thing. We talk about having your best players on the court at the same time. Well, if both Patrick and Jeremy are some of the best players on the team, which means you want them on the court. Of course, James Harden is too, so you want those three guys on the court a lot. And so Houston is experimenting with that. And look, preseason is meant to experiment with things. Experiment with different lineups. Experiment with different strategies on offense, on defense. Who's coming off the bench? What lineups work best? And that's what they're doing. That's what they're doing. This is normal. I don't think it's unexpected, and it'll work itself out. It's going to work itself out, and this is what they should do in a lot of ways. Not saying that they should that they should experiment with Jeremy not starting, but they need to find out about the team, and that's what they're trying to do. And that just makes sense. Jeremy did play more solid defense in this game, the same way that he played in the first game. Now, he did end up with 5 personal fouls in this game. I thought 1 or 2 of them I wasn't sure they were fouls, but, it's early in the season, and the referees have to they're getting into game shape themselves. I don't mean physically, I mean like getting the calls right. So the preseason, you might see a couple calls that you won't see in the regular season when everybody's up to speed. That's fine, but Jeremy can be careful of that. He's never been a person that has a whole bunch of trouble with fouling out. And last year, he fouled out, 2 or 3 times? Not very much, even though he started all 82 games. So, but he can watch it. Now, there is one thing to consider in terms of Jeremy versus Patrick Beverley, and that is that Jeremy has a much larger contract and salary than Patrick Beverley does. And what that means is if the team believes they want to make a move or they want to try to acquire another star or something, well, there's a real chance that the guy making more money is the guy you're going to get rid of, because you want more money to pay whoever you're going to bring in. If you try to get another star, you need money to pay them. So that is a factor. That is something to consider, that Patrick might be playing as well as Jeremy, but he makes a lot less money. And so that comes into the equation if the team is looking at trades or bringing people in. You have to look at the contract situation because of the salary cap. So that is something to, remember. Finally, on this summary aspect, and I'll get into quarter by quarter, Jeremy does want to continue to work on his turnovers. And I'll talk about that some in quarter by quarter. He had 3 turnovers in 23 minutes. That's not alarming, but just keep working at it. One of them I didn't think was a turnover, and I'll talk about that. I didn't think it was the right call. Let me put it that way. I'll talk about that in quarter by quarter. But 2 of the turnovers I think they were more genuine turnovers, and he just needs to keep working at it. As I said, I think Coach McHale likes steady players, not up and down with a lot of turnovers. And I think Coach McHale likes players that are more inclined to playing defense. So in those 2 aspects, Patrick Beverley fits a little bit better to what I think McHale likes, because he commits fewer turnovers than Jeremy, and his defense, at least playing on the ball, is probably better than Jeremy's. Most people would say that it is better. So you have to understand that. I mean, it's so for Jeremy to help himself out, keep working on the turnovers. Keep working on getting a little bit better. That'll help put him in even a better position. Okay, let's talk quarter by quarter here. Again, this is mostly going to be in terms of what Jeremy was doing. Again, Jeremy did not start the game. Houston got out to a strong lead in this game. They got up by 15 points relatively quickly. The starters again played well, as they did in the first game at the beginning of the game. Jeremy came into the game with 2 minutes and 39 seconds left. And the score at that time was 27-14 in favor of Houston. Patrick had started well. He already had 7 points and 2 assists. And he was 3 of 3 in shooting, including 1 of 1 from the 3-point line. So when Jeremy came in, the lineup was himself, James Harden, Chandler Parsons, Demo, and Dwight Howard. So basically they took out Terrence Jones and Patrick, and then they put in Jeremy and Demo. Also, Indiana had switched out George Hill, who was their starting point guard, and put in C.J. Watson. Jeremy had a nice entry pass into Dwight Howard. An entry pass means it's a pass to the low post, a pass that enters into the low post, basically. Someone that's posting up, and you have to get them the ball, and sometimes that'll be challenged. It's not always an easy pass. And Jeremy made a very nice pass to Dwight, and Dwight was fouled attempting a shot and got a couple of free throws. Jeremy was guarding C.J. Watson, and he lost him for a second, and C.J. Watson was able to hit a three-point shot, meaning when you're playing defense, there's a principle known as ball you man. And what that means is you've got to keep your eye on the ball and keep the eye on your man as well. And try to stay have yourself between the ball and between the ball and the man. When guys are moving and they don't have the ball and you're the defender, sometimes you can lose them for a second because you're watching where the ball is. And Jeremy kind of lost C.J. Watson for a second, and C.J. Watson was able to get open and get the ball and get a three-point shot. So it wasn't bad defense. But you could have been a little bit tighter. Jeremy, just keep working on it. Look, Jeremy's a very good off-the-ball help defender. He likes to help on defense. So I'm sure that's what he was looking at the ball, seeing what was going to happen, see if he could go help. But you got to keep your eye out for your man as well. So just something to keep working on. I thought that James Harden was handling the ball extensively in this period of time as opposed to the first game where he let Jeremy handle the ball more. And honestly, I think it works better when Jeremy handles the ball more, as we mentioned in the first game. Because during this period of time, the lead went down from 13 points to like 5 points. And I believe during that period of time, James Harden was handling the ball a lot and might have been doing some ISOs during that time. And sometimes you need that, but honestly, on this team, you don't need it. You don't need a bunch of ISOs like what Harden did last year because there's a lot of talent on this team. You don't need to play like that anymore. So I thought there was a little bit too much of that in this game. But look, to be fair, Harden played well in this game. And he made some of the shots when he had isolations. But he had some plays that weren't that good in the isolations either. And that's where I think it would be much better if the ball was in Jeremy's hands. So that's something, a takeaway from this game. Okay, Jeremy began the second quarter on the floor, and he did very well in this quarter. At the end of the first quarter, Jeremy had no points, 1 rebound, and no assist. But that was going to change in the second quarter. Now, early in the second quarter, Jeremy had the first of his 3 turnovers. He was on the fast break, and I believe he was on the right side of the floor, and he was running down the right side, and Ronnie Brewer was on his left. And Jeremy saw him, and he tried to get the ball to him, but I think the pass might have been a little too hard or not quite on target. And Indiana actually might have gotten their hand on the pass, so it ended up going out of bounds. And so you want to push the pace. You want to run fast and make plays, but you got to be under control. So again, it's something Jeremy work on a little bit, and just to continue to improve that aspect of his game. Jeremy, then he was making a play. He was driving towards the basket near the top of the lane, near where you shoot free throws from. And he got hit. He got fouled while he was in the act of shooting, and he almost scored the basket too. He almost got what is called an and one. You get the basket and you get to shoot one free throw. But he didn't make the basket, but he got 2 free throws and he made both of them. Then he was on the right side of the perimeter and he went to drive to the basket and he was fouled again. Now that was not during the act of shooting, so he did not get 2 free throws at that time. Sometimes if you're fouled and you're not in the act of shooting, you will get free throws, but it depends if the other team is in the penalty, they call it. And that means how many fouls a team has in a particular quarter. Once you get to a certain number, I think the number is 5, then every foul you get, the other team does get 2 free throws. But until you get 5 fouls, they don't get 2 free throws. And that's what happened for Jeremy on that play. Okay, so soon after that, Jeremy was given a turnover that I don't think was a turnover. He was charged with a turnover that I don't think was. The reason I say it is he was trying to get the ball to Omri Caspi. And he passed the ball, and it wasn't a perfect pass. The ball ended up going out of bounds, but both Jeremy and Caspi and I think the announcers thought that the ball went off of Indiana's player. In other words, that the Indiana guy touched it, but the referee didn't see it. So he called it that it was off of Houston, and Jeremy got a turnover. So even though Jeremy had 3 turnovers, it might have been more accurate that he only had 2 turnovers. But that's what it was charged, and so that they gave him a turnover there. Soon after this, Jeremy scored in transition. Aaron Brooks gave him a really nice pass. Jeremy was cutting right down towards the basket, as he's very good at doing, and I believe he scored on a layup. Soon after that, Jeremy forced Indiana player Solomon Hill into an air ball shot. So Jeremy was playing excellent defense. And Houston was doing pretty well here. They were up by about 6 points, and Jeremy was certainly helping to kind of get the bench going here, which was good. Jeremy, soon after this, got a foul. He was trying to box out Solomon Hill, I believe it was. I think it was Indiana was on offense, and somebody shot the ball. Solomon Hill went in to get a rebound, and Jeremy kind of fouled him while he was going in to get a rebound. When you box out a player, that means that you establish position for a rebound. And so Jeremy was trying to establish position for a rebound, but Solomon Hill got around him. And while Solomon Hill was going around him, Jeremy fouled him. Solomon Hill's bigger than Jeremy. He's actually listed as a small forward. He's big. When you're trying to box out big players, sometimes it's a little bit tough. So Jeremy got a foul on that. What looked to be happening at this point in the game was that Jeremy appeared to be playing point guard on offense, but he was, I think, guarding the shooting guard on defense. So he was kind of mixed cross-matching, playing the point guard on the one side of the ball and then playing shooting guard on the other side of the ball. And that happens at times. Aaron Brooks is pretty small. It would be hard for him to guard a shooting guard, so it would make sense for Jeremy to guard the shooting guard. And since Jeremy's a good passer, well, you might want him playing point guard on offense. Jeremy had a very nice setup play for Demo. I think, I wasn't sure if they were going to give him an assist on it. Like, I can't remember the exact play. Demo started out near the top of the key, and Jeremy set him up really well, but they did credit him with an assist, which I was happy to see. Wasn't sure if they were going to, but that was a nice play by Jeremy. Then Jeremy had a great pass to Demo on a breakaway, and Demo got a dunk. Unfortunately, on the play, Demo hurt his wrist and his leg a little bit, but apparently he was okay. It was a great play. It was another one of these the types of passes Jeremy can make in transition that are such highlights and things that he's known for. Soon after this, this is the middle of the second quarter, Jeremy had an excellent move going to his left with off of the dribble. He went right through the defense and got a layup. Now, again, there's been the criticism of Jeremy that he can't dribble to his left. He can't make left-handed layups. He can't drive to his left. Well, he did it on that play, and he looked really good. And it led immediately to an Indiana timeout. This came with 6 minutes left in the second quarter, and it put Houston up 48-41. After that timeout, George Hill came back in for the Pacers, and so Jeremy was matched up against him. Rather than, I believe, C.J. Watson or Solomon Hill at that time. So I was back going against a starter. Jeremy on the next sequence, or a sequence soon after that timeout, played terrific defense against George Hill. You can see Jeremy talked a lot this summer about working on his defensive stance, meaning how you get into a defensive crouch, keeping your back flat and straight. And you can see he's worked on it. He's clearly better at that, and that really helps you to make defensive plays and be in position, and it's definitely paying off for Jeremy. Soon after this, though, Jeremy, I said in the last game that Patrick Beverley, when he was playing defense and the opposite team would set a pick and roll against him, somebody would come up and set a pick on Patrick, that Houston was switching the pick and roll, meaning that the man who was on defense for Houston that was guarding the guy that set the pick, he would switch and try to guard Patrick's man. Well, on this particular play, that's what Jeremy did, which he didn't do that hardly at all in the first game. In other words, if someone would come up and set a pick against Jeremy, Jeremy would go through the pick and then track down his man. On this particular play, Houston switched on the pick and roll. And so Jeremy ended up guarding David West, and he fouled David West, and David West scored, so it led to an and one. David West is about 6'8" and 260 pounds. So Jeremy has no chance against him. And it was, when I saw the play, I'm like, well, why did they switch to pick and roll? And I don't think it was Jeremy's decision to switch to pick and roll. I think whoever was playing against David West decided to do it. And so then Jeremy had to go and guard David West, and it didn't work out really well. You don't want to do that. Switch pick and rolls if you don't have to do it, because you end up with situations like that with Jeremy guarding a huge guy, and that doesn't work. Soon after, Jeremy had a nice pass to Omri Caspi, who missed a three-pointer. This is what we refer to as a blown assist, just because a would-be assist was set up by a player, but the other player didn't make the basket. And that happens. I mean, you know, no matter how good your assist would be, some guys can't make every single shot, especially when it's as far away as a three-pointer. Now, Patrick came back into the game with 4 minutes and 30 seconds left, and then he was playing together with Jeremy. And I believe Jeremy was then playing the shooting guard, and Patrick was playing the point guard. Soon after Patrick came to the game, Jeremy drove to the basket and he got hit. Pretty good, I thought, but there was no call. No, he didn't get the foul call. And again, the refs aren't necessarily in season form yet, so sometimes some of the calls are going to be what it's going to be. After that, Jeremy had a nice rebound while Houston was on defense, and then he passed ahead to Chandler Parsons for a three-pointer. This was an excellent play, perfect setup. Jeremy got the ball, dribbled up the court. Chandler set up about 30 degrees to the left of the top of the arc. Jeremy found him, bang, three-pointer. That put Houston up 54-45. Then Jeremy, this is late in the second quarter. Now Jeremy was actually wide open for a three-point shot he was about to take, but Houston got a foul. So in other words, Jeremy didn't get to take the shot because there was an offensive foul on Houston. Soon after that play occurred, I believe Bill Worrell, the announcer for the Rockets, and most times I don't listen to the announcers, which I've told you guys. I don't want to listen to the announcers because I want to make my own mind up about what happened in the game. But I was listening to the announcers in this game because I was just taking so many notes that I couldn't watch every single minute. And so I needed the announcers to tell me what was happening at certain points. And right around this point in time, late in the second quarter, I think Bill Worrell was saying that the point guard position wasn't set. And he mentioned that Chandler and James Harden and Dwight Howard are the starters, but he didn't say the power forward spot. He didn't say the point guard spot. Now, Bill Worrell likes Jeremy Lin, so I don't think he was trying to be rude to Jeremy. It was just kind of based upon Patrick Beverley started this game. Now, what conclusion are you going to come to? You're just not sure about it. So Jeremy, late in the second, he almost got a blocked shot. He forced Indiana to make a pass out because he was going to block the shot or alter the shot. So, again, he's playing very good defense. Right after that play, Patrick and Jeremy had a really good offensive sequence. Patrick was playing at the point guard near the top of the key. And Jeremy was moving off the ball, without the ball, coming left to right. And he got free. The type of play is called a curl play. You run in a straight line, then you do a curl at the end of it. You make a little semicircle. Jeremy went left to right, got free, got the ball, and he was going to drive. He was driving, I think, with the left hand, going towards the lane, and he got fouled. It was a great play. He got fouled hard right underneath the rim. In fact, I think the fans booed because they liked Jeremy, and they booed the Indiana guy for fouling him. What's great about the play was it was executed very well. And right after Jeremy got hit hard, Patrick ran over to him and picked him up. He was the first guy there. So it's like I said, look, these guys respect each other. Yeah, they're competing, and there's a whole bunch of people talking all kinds of stuff, but they respect each other, and they work well together. That was a great play from both players. The reason why you run plays like that for Jeremy is because he's so fast. It's like running a pick, basically, a pick and roll, but without setting a pick. Well, actually, there might be. Sometimes there's a pick involved in it. Sometimes there isn't. But if you let Jeremy start building speed up, first of all, he's going to beat his man to the spot in terms of running the curl pattern. And if you let him then get a little momentum going to the basket, he's going to get ahead of his man because he's so fast. So it's a great type of play for Jeremy. And what's really good about it, as we talked about previously when it comes to this, the knock on Jeremy, or one of them, was that he doesn't play well without the ball. In other words, his only offense comes with the ball in his hands. Well, he's getting better and better at making plays and making offense when he doesn't have the ball in his hand. And you do that by running around, doing little patterns so that you can get open. And that's exactly what that play was. So he's improving. That's another respect in which he's improving. Now, he got fouled. He was going to shoot, so he got 2 free throws, and he made both of them. Now, right after that, Bill Worrell, the announcer, said he had great things to say about Jeremy. He said, yeah, Jeremy's a survivor. Everybody's trying to cut him, but he just keeps getting it done. Yeah, it was great. Like I said, Bill Worrell likes Jeremy, and he respects him, and what he's saying is true. That's why I'm not worried about Jeremy. everybody's trying to get rid of him, and he's going to get cut. And well, look, he's doing pretty well. Yeah, Patrick's doing well too, but so is Jeremy. So he's in good shape, regardless of what happens in the competition with Patrick. Look, just like I said with the Phoenix team, you could have two of the best guards in the league on your team. Well, it just so happens that you got another guy that's good. That doesn't mean Jeremy's not good. It just means that Patrick's playing better than people thought he was going to play, and you got to give him credit. And that's good for the team. And Jeremy will have his chances. He's going to be fine. Just keep playing like you're playing, and it's going to get even better for him, regardless of where he ends up in his career in terms of what team. Now, James Harden was still controlling the ball a lot here. This was still the small ball lineup with Patrick, Jeremy, and James Harden on the floor at the same time. But James Harden waved off Jeremy, and then he got a turnover on a pass to Terrence Jones. So, again, it's not always going to work when James Harden handles the ball rather than Jeremy Lin handling the ball. People talk about Jeremy Lin's turnovers. I think Harden was second or third in the league last year in turnovers per game. I love James Harden, and James Harden does have great passing ability, but Jeremy Lin is a better point guard than James Harden is. And the good thing about this, about what James Harden did and what happened is, believe me, the coaches saw it too. And they'll look at the film and they'll say, oh, okay, James Harden wouldn't give the ball to Jeremy, and then James Harden got a turnover. So this will work itself out. As I said, this was more the James Harden show tonight, whereas in the first game it was more the Dwight Howard show. So the coaches will see that, and they'll make the adjustments. And my guess is Jeremy's going to have the ball in his hands more, and James Harden a little bit less. So it'll work itself out. Oh, yeah, and after that turnover, that led to an Indiana fast break. As I said, that's why it's important for Jeremy to cut his turnovers down too. Turnovers often lead to easy points on the other end, and that's why you got to be really careful with them. Jeremy got another foul near the end of the half. I think that was like his third or maybe his fourth foul, actually. He was picking up fouls pretty quick. I didn't think it was – I thought it was a bad foul call, but again, it happens. Then James Harden, to end the half, had another ISO play, which was a complete brick, which he shot, which, again, those aren't the type of plays that this team needs because it has more options than it had last year. Halftime, 61-55 for Houston. At the half, Patrick Beverley had 9 points, 1 rebound, and 2 assists. Jeremy had 8 points, 3 rebounds, and 3 assists. Now, in the third quarter, Jeremy did not play at all. The starters, I believe, played the entire third quarter for Houston. Excuse me. And you know what? I don't remember what the score was. Excuse me. Going into the fourth quarter. Actually, no, I take that back. I do know what the score was. It was like 84-75. Houston was up by like 9 points or so going into the fourth quarter. Now, in the fourth quarter, Jeremy started, and he again played well, the same way that he played in the second quarter. He had a very nice save on a ball going out of bounds early in the fourth quarter, and then he went up in the air like he was going to shoot, and he got fouled while he was going up, but at the last second, he went to pass the ball. What that means is because he tried to pass it, he didn't get any free throws. If he would have acted like he was going to shoot it, he would have gotten 2 free throws. So in the future, Jeremy will learn, if you get fouled, you're up in the air, you act like you're going to shoot so that you get the 2 free throws. But it's not a mistake. It's just something to keep working at, to get used to doing it. Guys that are really good scorers, you'll see them. They're good at drawing fouls, and they'll act like they're shooting even if they weren't going to shoot. So Jeremy will learn to get better and better about that. Jeremy had a nice pass to Demo that I think Demo did not convert, another blown assist type of thing. Soon after, and this is early in the fourth, Jeremy got his 5th personal foul. So he definitely racked up the fouls in this game. I think it was his 5th foul, either his 4th or his 5th. Jeremy then had another great pass to Omri Caspi, who again missed a 3-pointer. So that was another blown assist for Jeremy. Then Jeremy had he rebounded a ball. Indiana shot an air ball. Jeremy grabbed the ball, and I believe that did count as a rebound. And he had a great pass ahead to Ronnie Brewer for a dunk, in which Ronnie Brewer also got fouled on the dunk. So it was an and one dunk. Or actually, no. I thought Jeremy had the assist there. They actually gave the assist to Caspi. I didn't see that play. Actually, I did see it. I could have sworn that Jeremy made the pass, but I guess Caspi actually ended up making the pass, or maybe he made the pass at the end after Jeremy threw the ball up ahead. It's a great play by Jeremy. I think it was a very long pass, and maybe Caspi kind of tipped the ball over to Ronnie Brewer. Now, Jeremy had a tough sequence early in the fourth. He, was driving in transition, and he missed a layup from close. I didn't see this sequence. I just heard it. He missed a layup from in close. He got his own rebound, and then he missed another layup. So it was kind of like, honestly, that was probably his worst sequence in the game, and it wasn't bad. I mean, he was basically, these are very close layups, and layups he's normally going to make. But he did miss those 2 layups there, although he did get the rebound, so that was good. And up to that point, I think he was perfect shooting from the field. But he went from 2 of 2 from the field and like 4 of 4 from the free throw line, and that dropped his percentage down to 2 of 4 from the field instead. Still, not bad at all. Shooting 50% from the field as a guard is excellent. Jeremy, soon after, he was beaten pretty badly on defense by, I can't remember the backup guard's name, Orlando Jones maybe, for Indiana. That was probably Jeremy's worst defensive play. But again, with the way the rules are on defense in the NBA, you can't stay in front of guys all game. If they have any skill at all on offense, they'll get by you at some point. So it was just one poor sequence, although I thought Jeremy played good defense for the majority of the game. Then Jeremy had his 3rd and final turnover of the game. This is the middle of the 4th quarter. I didn't see it, but I know it wasn't a good pass, just based upon how the announcers reacted to it. Look, I said, he's got to keep working on the turnovers. Patrick is better Jeremy than turnovers. Now, Jeremy's better passer than Patrick, and he makes more plays, but Jeremy wants to be steady. So keep working at that, Soon after this, Jeremy had a nice score on a scoop layup on the right-hand side of the basket in transition. Soon after this, Jeremy had another drive to the basket. He was fouled, and he shot 2 free throws. He made both of them. Then at this point in the game, the Houston analyst, Matt Bullard, who used to play for the Rockets, said he would start talking about Jeremy as the 6th man type of thing. And again, the reason being, Jeremy can score easily, quickly. And you do need that from your bench, particularly if your bench doesn't score that well. So there is an argument for that. At this point, with 6 minutes and 59 seconds left in the game, Houston was up by 11 points, and so they were starting to push ahead the lead. Again, this was different than Game 1, when the bench gave up the lead and eventually lost the game. Now, with Jeremy directing traffic, so to speak, now the bench was starting to do well. After that, Jeremy had a defensive rebound. He had a nice play. He's just dribbling better and better with his left hand. He's clearly improved the left-handed dribbling, and he's improved his dribbling overall. So there are multiple aspects of his game that have improved. Then soon after that, and this is again middle of the fourth quarter, Jeremy had a hockey assist, which means he made a pass that led to the pass that led to the score. It was a little bit behind Ronnie Brewer, but then Ronnie Brewer tipped it over to Omri Caspi, who scored and was fouled. It was a great play. And this is why Jeremy's such a good player and could lead a bench or lead a team, because his passing is infectious. He starts plays and the ball starts moving really well, and then other guys pass well too. This is why you look at him as a potential of whether it's a starter or a guy leading a bench, because he makes everybody else play like this too. And that was a great example. That put the lead up to 13 points with 6 minutes and 16 seconds left. Jeremy was playing great. Said he dominated in the second and fourth quarter of this game. He was awesome. Then he was fouled on, I didn't see the play, but he was fouled on a dead ball foul, meaning, again, Indiana was over the limit for fouls in the quarter. So Jeremy wasn't shooting, wasn't in the act of shooting, but he still got 2 free throws, and he made both of them. Then Jeremy, there was a timeout in the game, and you could see Jeremy talking with Demo, again, being a leader, helping him out. If you're the point guard, you have to do that. You got to keep guys' mind in the game, help them out, tell them what to work on, what to do, etc., etc. Now, the biggest lead for the starters in this game was 15 points, and now the bench had gotten the lead up to 13 points, and it was going to get even bigger. And it just shows you how well Jeremy was able to make the bench be effective in this game. Another thing that I noticed at this point in the game was the game was being played at a slow pace, which is the way Indiana likes to play it. But Jeremy was still effective. As we've talked about, usually Jeremy's at his best playing at a quick pace. And so we say he needs to be able to play at different speeds. Well, he was playing at a slower speed here and playing well. And that's, again, more improvement and good to see. Jeremy had an incredible play here. This was, it was still in the middle of the fourth quarter. Jeremy drove to the basket, and he had 2 men come to him to try to stop him. And Demo started cutting to the basket while Jeremy made the move, and Jeremy saw him and passed it to him, and it was just a beautiful pass. And I thought Demo was going to dunk it, but he just laid it in. That is, again, what we call a drive, draw, and dish. You drive to the basket, you draw another defender besides your own defender, and then you find a man whose defender left him to help on you, or a man that doesn't have a guy on him. It was a perfect play. And you could hear the crowds like, oh. You probably see this in the highlights. That made the score 102-85 for Houston. Look, that's what he's all about. That's why Jeremy's a playmaker. And he needs to keep playing that way. And that was the largest lead of the game. So they had surpassed what the starters had achieved. And this is the bench that couldn't do anything in the first game. And it was because of Jeremy, in my opinion. Those are the kinds of plays Jeremy can make. And he needs to keep making them. He just needs to make the right decisions so he doesn't try to force plays when they're not there and then get the turnover. And he has gotten better at it, and he will continue to get better at it. Then Jeremy had his final miss of the game. He went to shoot a right-handed layup. Angle was a little bit off. It wasn't a bad miss, but he just slightly missed it. So those are his only misses of the game. Those 2 that he missed in a short span of time, and then this one miss here. Jeremy was taken out of the game by Coach McHale with about 3 minutes left in the game. At that point, Houston was up by 18 points, and the game was over. And Jeremy had made his point. Look, he came in, led the bench, and they dominated. They stretched the lead, which was something they could not do in the first game. So it was a excellent performance from Jeremy. It was better than he did in the first game, and he and Patrick basically played about at the same level in this game. They both played really well, and credit to Patrick, he played well. Jeremy can lead the bench if that's necessary. If they can't do well with Patrick or they can't do well as a unit, well, Jeremy can help them do well. Again, that's not what I want him to do. But if he needs to do it, he can do it. And that's a good skill to be able to have. As I said, the competition between Patrick and Jeremy is going to continue. Coach McHale said that. Don't be afraid of that. Again, we don't have to protect Jeremy here. Jeremy's an NBA player. He's a professional athlete, and he's used to competition, and he's good at it, and he's good at winning in competitions. That's the reason why he's in the NBA, and that's the reason why he's done everything he's done, even though nobody believed in him. So he's going to be okay. And look, Patrick is good, and he's playing well, and he's making a push. So it's, Jeremy has some heat on him, but that's good. That's even if Jeremy loses, quote unquote, this competition, which he might not lose. He might lose because the team needs him for the second unit and the sixth man, even if they think he's better than Patrick. Even if he loses the competition to Patrick, it's still going to help him for his career. Again, this is a long-term project for Jeremy. There's a whole bunch of difficulties for him in the last year and plus now. He gets hurt. He's in a new system. They don't play his style. All of a sudden, Patrick Beverley shows up, and he's really good. And James Harden comes to the team. But all of these things, as long as Jeremy handles them properly, which he seems to be doing, they're all going to help Jeremy in the long run. They're going to make him a better player with better skills. They're going to make him tougher. They're going to make him more competitive. Great. It's like the caterpillar going in the cocoon, coming out a butterfly. This is going to help Jeremy. Don't be afraid of it. Don't fight it. That doesn't mean you don't compete and you don't try to win your spot, but don't worry about it. And credit to Jeremy, he's doing much better about this. And that's what we should do as fans. That doesn't mean that we just lie down and let the Lin haters win and say, yeah, Patrick should start, Jeremy's not any good. No. I'm not saying it like that. I'm saying don't worry about the battle. Worry about the war. You might lose some battles, but you want to win the war. The war is for Jeremy's career. The war is him getting to where he wants to be as a player. He's going to win some battles. He's going to lose some battles, but he wants to win the war. And that's what he's doing right now. And this is a tough fight right now. From, going to a new team and all these different things, but he's doing it. He's succeeding. It looks a little tough right now. And you had somebody come into the battle in Patrick Beverley that you didn't expect. And he's a pretty good fighter. Well, that's okay. That's okay. Jeremy can still get to where he wants to get to. And he's well on his way. He's clearly improving. There's no question. You could see it in his game. Just keep going. Look, Patrick's trying very, very, very hard. He wants the starting spot. Jeremy's not. He doesn't have the same urgency. And I don't mean that in a bad way. It's like Jeremy's just playing his game. He's not trying to he's not trying to do anything outside of his game. I think Patrick's trying to score a little bit more, trying to He's trying to push, whereas Jeremy's just playing his game, and that's fine. Now, if I'm Jeremy, you don't want to concede anything to Patrick. You don't want to give Patrick a mental edge, but just play your game. I think Jeremy is approaching this in the correct way. You get in there and you compete hard, but don't try to do what you can't do. Patrick's doing well and he's making a push, but I think he might be getting a little bit outside of his game. And Jeremy's not doing it. And I'm okay with that. I'm totally okay with that. Jeremy's playing for the long term, and that's good. Again, this was more of the James Harden show than the Dwight Howard show, and that's not going to be the case a lot. And I do think that coaches will see some of James Harden's plays and say, okay, let's pull back the ISOs a little bit, James. I do think that's going to happen. Jeremy's dribbling looks better. It does look better, and his decision-making is improving, particularly while he's dribbling. He does still need to continue to work on his decision-making in passing so that he cuts down the turnovers. But with the dribbling, it's definitely better. So he's improving. And I'm very, very excited by this. Okay, a couple other quick things moving on from that. I want to give a shout out to Lin Garden, and they might actually right now be greeting Jeremy Lin and the team in the Taiwan airport. I guess that team was flying out right after the game in Manila, because JJ from Lin Garden told me in an email that the group was getting ready to go and meet Jeremy. This was like a couple hours ago. So they might have already met him, and I guess the team's flying into Taiwan right after this game ended. JJ also told me she had translated the first video I did of this game, and she wanted me to tell the Lin Garden people to go and watch it because it'll probably make them feel better if they were feeling bad because Jeremy didn't start this game. Again, we appreciate everything that JJ and Lin Garden has done and does for us. You guys are great. I know how pumped up you're going to be to see Jeremy and the team. And yes, I did hear Mikhail say after the game, as I put on Twitter, I'm virtually certain I heard this, that Jeremy will start the game in Taiwan. The system seems to be Patrick starts, and Jeremy starts, and Patrick starts, then Jeremy starts, at least for the preseason. Well, the Taiwan game is Jeremy's time to start, and apparently he's going to start. So, the next game is Sunday, October 13th in Taipei, Taiwan. The game will take place local time in Taipei, 1:30 p.m. on Sunday, October 13th, which means that game is going to be taking place in the United States on the East Coast at 1:30 a.m. Sunday early morning. I will be watching it. It is on, I believe, on NBA TV. I can't wait. That place is going to be going crazy for Jeremy and for the team. And look, like I said, let the competition continue, and hopefully Jeremy can improve even again. He improved from game 1 to game 2. Hopefully he can improve from game 2 to game 3. Shoot a little bit better, finish those layups, cut down on turnover slightly, and just keep playing great. He's playing great. And so is Patrick. Like I said, it's a good problem to have if you're a coach. You got two guys that are both playing well. Well, take your pick. I mean, that's basically the situation that we're in right now. Lin Garden, I know, is going to be at that game in full force, and many other Jeremy's fans are going to be there too. It should be a whole bunch of fun. I'm looking forward to it. I know you guys are looking forward to it. And again, let me just say, hang in there. Jeremy's been through this before. He's been through a lot worse than this. He's in a much better place in his career right now. Financially, mentally, spiritually, physically. He's doing fine. He is doing fine. Trust me. He's in a good place. Regardless of what decisions are made, whether he's starting or coming off the bench, if he continues to do what he's doing now, believe me, he's going to be in a very good position for his career. So I'm not worried about it. Again, I'm not rooting for him to not start. I want him to start. But we'll see what happens. But whatever happens, just like Jeremy's approaching it, just be calm about it. Don't let the Lin haters bait you. Look, we know if Jeremy doesn't start, the Lin haters are going to be gloating. We know that. But don't worry about that. Don't let them shake you up. And let me say one other thing, too. I almost forgot this about Clutch fans. Look, I like Clutch fans, which I've told you guys many times. I don't get along with everybody at Clutch fans, or I don't agree with everybody at Clutch fans. But as I said in the comments of the last video, or the Game 1 video, the second one, go to Clutch fans and participate. The more Lin fans that are there that participate, the more the site becomes favorable to Lin. Don't just give up. Don't get into fights with people or fights with moderators so you get kicked off. Hang in there. Be respectful, even if people are being Lin haters. And slowly you can change the site to be more favorable to Lin if that's what you want it to be. That's why I'm encouraging people to go and join. Don't sit on the sidelines and complain. Get in the game. So I said, go to Clutch fans, join Bleacher Report, join some other news organization or place that allows people to sign up as writers and write about Jeremy. Because believe me, there's people writing about Jeremy that aren't very good. So if we can get more people writing about Jeremy that are good or that are favorable or fair to Jeremy, well, great. As I said, that's part of why I make these videos, because to try to have a little bit more fair coverage of Jeremy. But you can help out too, and many of you do that in your own ways, and we appreciate that. But certainly do that at Clutch fans. Go and participate. That's the way it gets changed. If you want to change an environment, you go and you work and you change it. Okay. Thumbs up, thumbs down this video. Your comments below. I will be coming down to the comments, although I think I might get something to eat first because it's been a long. I've been up since, I don't know, 7 in the morning covering this game, and it's now about 7.5 hours after that, and I've just been doing game stuff all this time, which is cool. I like doing it, but I need a little bit of a break. We encourage you to come and join the Conservative in the Media Facebook group. You will see information for that group in the video description below the video player. You will also see information about the game in the video description, including where you can go and watch highlights of the game. You can go and check out the box score of the game and can read game stories about the game. And we will include information for our Twitter account, so you can come and follow us. What we're doing with the Twitter is it's the best way for you to know when we put out new Jeremy Lin videos. You'll get them as soon as they come out, because I will go there and put a link as soon as the videos come up and are live on YouTube. It's going really well. We appreciate the support there, so come and join the fun. And I do talk to people over there when I can. I don't spend a ton of time on Twitter, but when I'm there, I like to talk with people. There's a lot of Lin fans on Twitter, so we'll be happy to come and see you there and talk with you there. Also, I will put information for the first video I did about this game in the video description as well. Once again, I am PFE Paul F. Villarreal, the NBA expert. Thank you for watching Conservative New Media. We do strive to be the #1 Jeremy Lin YouTube fan channel. As I said before, it is 2:35 p.m. here on the East Coast of the United States on Thursday, October 10th, 2013. That means it is 2:35 a.m. early Friday, October 11th, 2013 in Manila, the Philippines, and in Taipei, Taiwan. And I just want to give a shout out to all the great fans in the Philippines. The players love this. I know Jeremy loved it. everybody around the world that knows anything about basketball knows how much the Philippines loves NBA and loves basketball. You guys are great. You're some of the best NBA fans I've ever seen. I talked to a lot of Filipinos that come and comment on our videos. And I'm happy that you guys got to see this game. You deserve it. And I'm sure there'll be a lot more NBA interaction for the Philippines in the future. So great job. And I know that Taiwan is right on the same page. And they're big basketball fans as well. That's it for now. Hope everybody's having a great night or great day wherever you are around the world when you watch this video. Again, I'll be down in the comments soon and looking forward to talking to you guys. I'm sure there's a whole bunch to talk about, including Jeremy not starting and how the team's doing everything. So take care of yourself, and I will see you soon.